Zero Trust Architecture. Why most projects fail. Zero trust has become one of the most overused terms in cybersecurity. Almost every vendor claims to support it. Almost every organization says they are doing zero trust. And yet, when we look at real environments, most zero trust projects fail. Not because the idea is wrong, but because it is misunderstood. What zero trust was supposed to fix. Zero trust emerged as a response to a simple reality. Perimeters stopped working. Systems became distributed. Users stopped sitting in one building. Data started flowing across organizations and borders. The old assumption that internal equals trusted and external equals dangerous broke down. Zero trust was meant to replace that assumption with something more realistic. Never trust by default. Always verify identity. Limit access to exactly what is needed. That part is simple. Implementing it is not. Failure 1. Treating zero trust as a product. The most common mistake is treating zero trust as something you buy. A new identity platform. A new network product. A new access gateway. Zero trust is not a tool. It is a design approach. We have seen organizations spend millions on zero trust solutions, while keeping the same flat internal networks and the same overprivileged accounts. The labels changed. The architecture did not. If one compromised user can still move freely across systems, zero trust does not exist, no matter what the vendor says. Failure 2. Keeping implicit trust inside the system. Another common failure is leaving implicit trust inside the environment. External access gets heavily controlled. Internal access remains largely unrestricted. Once someone authenticates, they are treated as trusted for everything. Attackers rely on this. They know that the hardest part is getting initial access. After that, internal trust relationships do the work for them. We have seen environments where compromising a single contractor account gave access to internal admin interfaces simply because nobody expected a contractor to be hostile. Zero trust means removing assumptions, not just adding login screens. Failure 3. Identity without context. Many zero trust projects focus heavily on identity, but ignore context. A user is authenticated. That is good, but authentication alone does not answer the important questions. What are they trying to access? From where? Under what conditions? For how long? Without context, identity becomes a binary switch. Logged in or not. Real zero trust is continuous. Access is evaluated every time, not just once at the beginning of a session. Failure 4. Overprivileged access that nobody wants to clean up. Least privilege sounds good in theory. In practice, it is uncomfortable. It requires understanding what people and systems actually need. It requires removing access that has been temporarily granted years ago. It requires saying no. Many zero trust initiatives stall here. Access reviews get postponed. Exceptions pile up. Temporary access becomes permanent. Over time, the system becomes fragile. When an account is compromised, the damage is far larger than expected. Failure 5. Ignoring machine identities. Zero trust discussions often focus on users. Machines are treated as a secondary concern. In modern systems, machine identities outnumber human users by orders of magnitude. APIs services, automated processes, background jobs. If machine identities are static, long-lived, and poorly monitored, zero trust collapses. We have seen breaches where no human credentials were stolen at all, only service credentials. What actually works? Now, let's talk about what works when Zero Trust is implemented properly. What works? 1. Explicit trust boundaries. Real Zero Trust starts with mapping trust boundaries. Which systems trust? Which identities? Why that trust exists? What happens if it is abused? If you cannot explain trust relationships clearly, you cannot enforce them. What works? 2. Short-lived access and credentials. Access should expire by default. Temporary access should actually be temporary. Service credentials should be rotated automatically. Long-lived secrets should be treated as technical debt. This alone reduces breach impact dramatically. What works? 3. Continuous verification. Access decisions should not be static. Context changes. Risk changes. So should access. Location, device state, behavior, and time all matter. Zero Trust is not a gate at the entrance. It is a constant evaluation. What works? 4. Designing for compromise. 0. Trust assumes compromise. It assumes credentials will leak. It assumes devices will be lost. It assumes something will go wrong. The goal is not to prevent all breaches. The goal is to limit damage. If compromising one account can still take down half the system, Zero Trust has failed. Closing. Zero Trust is not about buying the right product or ticking the right box. It is about removing assumptions that no longer hold. Assumptions about networks. Assumptions about users. Assumptions about trust. When implemented properly, Zero Trust does not make systems invincible. It makes them resilient. And resilience is what actually matters. If this topic is relevant to your organization, you can follow the channel. More videos will go deeper into how to design systems that survive real attacks.